Hello everyone, Teacher Algie here, and we're back for another lesson for our sentence structure series. In the last video, we learned how to identify a fragment and how to fix it. In this lesson, we're going to look at another error English learners commonly make when writing sentences. Without further ado, let's get started by looking at this sentence. The police came quickly to help the criminal got away. If you look at this sentence, it makes you want to scratch your head and ask, why would the police come to help the criminal get away? It doesn't make sense, right? This sentence is problematic primarily because the meaning is not clear and actually confusing. Is it possible that what the sentence actually means is the police came quickly to help the criminal got away? That's more possible, isn't it? So you can see from this example that in English, you cannot write the same way you speak. Let me repeat that. You cannot write the same way you speak. You have to learn when to end a sentence by using periods or connect ideas by using a conjunction. Otherwise, your sentence will be confusing or very hard to understand. This problematic sentence is an example of a run-on sentence. So in this lesson, we're going to learn what is a run-on sentence, how to identify it, and how to fix it. So what is a run-on sentence? When a person learns to write English sentences, one common problem is writing sentences that are too long. When a sentence ends too quickly, it is called a sentence fragment. Either it doesn't have a subject and or a verb, or maybe it has a subject and a verb but no complete thought. That's what we learned in our last lesson, right? But when a sentence has too many ideas and run-ons, that means continues on too long, it is called a run-on sentence. But don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with a long sentence. We learned that in the first video lesson we had, types of sentences. We saw that compound complex sentences can be very long. But the problem with run-on sentence is not that it's very long. The problem is there are two or more sentences in it that should be separated. Okay, let's go back to our example. The police came quickly to help the criminal got away. Let's analyze it. So how many clauses do we have here? I hope you remember what clauses are. They are a group of words that has a subject and a verb. So we've got the police as our subject, came as our verb, so that's one clause. But we have another clause in here, another set of subject and verb. Can you guess what that is? So in the second clause, the criminal is our subject and got away is our verb. So therefore, we have two clauses in one sentence. So this is a run-on sentence because it's supposed to have ended after the word help. But it kept running on, and this is illegal in English grammar. Okay, this is a crime. The grammar Nazis will be coming after you if you write a run-on sentence. Therefore, a run-on sentence has two or more sentences or independent clauses that are not properly combined. That's our definition. So, how can we correct this sentence? Some students would do this. The police came quickly to help, comma, the criminal got away. So they add a comma to separate the two clauses. Well, it's better than no punctuation at all. However, it's still not correct. You cannot combine two independent clauses with a comma. it's still a run-on sentence. More specifically, we call this a comma splice in English, which is another crime in English. So be careful. So if we cannot use a comma, then what can we do? There are 5 ways. First, use a period to create 2 sentences. Just like this. The police came quickly to help, full stop, the criminal got away. Second, we can also use a semicolon. The police came quickly to help, semicolon, the criminal got away. So when do we use a semicolon? We use a semicolon to join 2 related independent clauses. Third, we can also use coordinating conjunctions. As we've learned in the past videos, coordinating conjunctions are fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or yet so. In this case, we can use but. So our sentence will look like this. The police came quickly to help, but the criminal got away. So instead of separating our independent clauses, we combine them using a comma and a coordinating conjunction. Yeah, remember that. A comma comes before a coordinating conjunction. So this is better than the previous 2 methods, right? Because the meaning is much clearer. The fourth option is to use a subordinating conjunction. Unlike coordinating conjunctions, we have many subordinating conjunctions. So as we look at our clauses, what is the best subordinating conjunction to use? Since they are opposing ideas, we can use even though. So it might look like this. Even though the police came quickly to help, the criminal got away. So as you can see, we restructured the sentence a little bit. The fifth and last option is to use a conjunctive adverb. What on earth is a conjunctive adverb? Well, you will know it when you see the examples. Basically, they are transition words that are neither coordinating nor subordinating conjunctions. That's the best way to put it. So which of these shall we use? I think we can use however. So our sentence can be like this. The police came quickly to help. However, the criminal got away. Isn't this our best sentence so far? Or we can also write it this way. The police came quickly to help. However, the criminal got away. Notice how we punctuated them. First, we use either a period or a semicolon before however. Never a comma. Okay? Because a lot of English learners tend to do that. We use a comma after however, not before. There you go. These are the 5 ways of correcting a run-on sentence. Now, time for some exercises. Here are 5 sentences. Some of these sentences are run-ons, and I want you to pause this video and identify which sentences are run-ons. Come on, pause it. You need to practice in order to learn. Alright, let's see if you got them correctly. So there are 3 sentences that are run-ons. The other 2 are okay. Did you get them correctly? Okay, let's talk about each sentence. In the first one, we have 2 independent clauses. The first clause is Alexa failed the test. Alexa being the subject and failed the verb. The second clause is we tried to cheer her up. Subject is we and verb is cheer. And these 2 independent clauses are joined by a comma, which, as I've said, is illegal in English. You cannot join 2 independent clauses with a comma. Therefore, it's a run-on. In the second sentence, we also have two clauses. Can you identify them? The first clause is today's weather is good. Subject is today's weather. Verb is. And the second clause is tonight we are going to the beach. Subject is we. Verb is are going. And how are these clauses joined? By a comma and a coordinating conjunction so. Therefore, this sentence is okay. Sentence 3. We have two clauses. First, taking online classes is difficult. Subject is a gerund phrase. Taking online classes. Verb is. Second clause is, in fact, many students do not like it. Subject is many students, and verb is do not like. Now, we have two independent clauses that can stand on their own, right? They must be separated, but they were put together in one sentence. Therefore, this is another run-on. In fact, is a conjunctive adverb. So it has to start a new sentence. Okay, let's go to sentence 4. Sentence 4 is also a run-on because... Can you guess why? Same reason as in sentence 3. You have two independent clauses that must be separated into two sentences. He worked hard for this project and therefore he deserves a promotion. So you can see another conjunctive adverb, therefore. Unlike a coordinating or subordinating conjunction, it cannot join two sentences. It should start a new sentence. Sentence 5 is not a run-on because we have two clauses joined by a subordinating conjunction though. First clause being Dave will continue working. Second clause, though he needs to take a break. So unlike the previous example, there is nothing wrong with this. Okay, now, so I guess the next big question is, what do we do with these run-ons? How do we fix them? So let's try to apply the methods we learned earlier. Let's start with the first sentence. Method 1, we can use a period to separate our two clauses to two sentences. Similarly, we can also use a semicolon since we have two independent clauses. When we do this, we're trying to tell our readers that there is a connection between these two clauses. But we're not stating it because it's obvious. It's very clear. Or if you want to state clearly the connection between our two clauses, then we can use connecting words. Say, for method 3, what coordinating conjunction can we use to connect our two clauses properly? Yeah, we can use so. Alexa failed the test, so we tried to cheer her up. Or we can restructure the sentence and use a subordinating conjunction because. We tried to cheer Alexa up because she failed the test. We still get the same meaning, but we write it differently. Or our last option, method 5, is to use a conjunctive adverb, hence, which has the same meaning with therefore or as a result. Alexa failed the test, hence we tried to cheer her up. Notice that we had to start a new sentence since we used a conjunctive adverb. Okay, what about sentences 3 and 4? If you notice, both of them already have a connecting word. More specifically, conjunctive adverbs. For sentence 3, we have in fact, and for sentence 4, we've got therefore. So methods 3, 4, and 5 are not applicable. We can only use method 1 and 2. We may use a period or a semicolon, no difference when it comes to meaning. Alright, I hope that was clear for you. Now let's step up the challenge a bit more. This time, let's look at a paragraph. So this paragraph was taken from the autobiography of George Mueller, and what I did was I removed all the periods. So we've got a couple of run-ons. The reason for this is I've seen some of my students in the past had run-on sentences that literally ran for a whole paragraph. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I've seen paragraphs like that. Before I start, you might want to read it for yourself first and try to identify the run-ons. Afterwards, put the period where they're supposed to be. Alright, let's get started. So let's go sentence by sentence. For these reasons, I told the brethren that at the end of October 1830, I would give up my regular salary after I had given my reasons for doing so. Okay, could you see something there? Like this one is okay, right? I told the brethren, so you have this for your subject, and this is the verb. The brethren what? What did he tell the brethren? That. So you have here a noun clause. That I would give up my regular salary. Okay, so this part right here is so far one sentence. But let's see if this one should also be connected or should be separated from this sentence. So I would give up my regular salary after I had given my reasons for doing so. I read Philippians 4. Oops. Can you see there? What's the problem? This is not connected. This clause right here, after I had given my reasons for doing so, is not connected to this. Where is it connected? So it's connected to I read Philippians 4, right? So I read Philippians 4 after I had given my reasons for doing so. For doing so means for giving up his salary, regular salary. So there you go. There goes our first period. And this should be separated from this sentence. Did you get that? Okay, let's move on. So after I had given my reasons for doing so, I read Philippians 4. If the saints wanted to give something toward my support by voluntary gifts, I had no objection to receiving it. Okay, yeah, you see there's some problem. So we have already established that this clause right here, after I had given my reasons for doing so, and I read Philippians 4, are connected. So that is one sentence. But what we're trying to find out right now is if this if clause is still connected to the previous sentence, or is it connected to the succeeding sentence? Okay, let's try to understand. Actually, let me try to understand. I'm doing this alone. I wish you could help me right now. After I had given my reasons for doing so, I read Philippians 4. If the saints wanted to give something toward my... Yeah, it's not connected, right? It's not connected. Let's see if this is connected to the next clauses. If the saints wanted to give something toward my support by voluntary gifts, I had no objection to receiving it, either in money or provisions. Okay, so we can see now that this if clause right here is connected not to the previous sentence because it doesn't make sense. I read Philippians 4. If the saints wanted to give something, Philippians 4 is not talking about. Yes, it's talking about, what is it? I don't know. But it's not. He's not quoting Philippians 4. He's not quoting a specific verse, right? So this one should be ended right there. So far we have two sentences. And this one should start a new sentence. Is it clear? If the saints wanted to give something toward my support by voluntary gifts, I had no objection to receiving it. So you can see, he's talking about the gifts. I had no objection to receiving it either in money or provisions. Okay, so we are able to establish that these are connected. But is this connected to, is the next clause connected to this, to the previous clauses? Let's see. I had no objections to receiving it either in money or provisions a few days later. What? It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. So it seems that this, if we read on, this is connected to the next clauses. A few days later, I realized that if I personally received every single gift, much of my time and that of the donors would be lost. There you go. So we can see a connection there. When did he realize that if he personally received, first of all, let me remove this. It's a typographical error. I realized that if I personally received every single gift, much of my time and that of the donors would be lost. When did he realize that? A few days later. Therefore, this phrase, a few days later, is not connected to the previous clause. It's connected to the succeeding clauses. So let's end the sentence right here and start a new sentence. So can you see what we're trying to do? So I realized that if I personally received every single gift, much of my time and that of the donors would be lost. Also, the poor might be embarrassed to... Oops. Also is what? It's a conjunctive adverb. So, can you see what's wrong? It has to start a new sentence, right? It's not a subordinating conjunction. It's not a coordinating conjunction. So it has to start a new sentence. There's your clue there. But if George Mueller had put and, it would have been okay. Right? And also, so you have a coordinating conjunction that can join two clauses. But since he only had also, this has to start a new sentence. Also, the poor might be embarrassed. So we have another sentence right here. The poor might be embarrassed to give a small amount. Others might, oops. Yeah. You can see here, so we've got our subject, the poor might be embarrassed, our verb, so that's our first clause, and then another clause is here. Others, you have subject, and might give is another verb. So this is our second clause. So what should we do here? We cannot join two clauses, independent clauses, with a comma. So either we put a period, which is the simplest thing to do, or we put a conjunction. So let's just put a period. Also, the poor might be embarrassed to give me a small amount. Others might give more than what? More than if the gifts were more. Yeah, so there's grammatical error right there, and it's not mine, it's George Mueller's or his editors. Might give more if the gifts we're anonymous. Therefore, did you see that? Did you see that? So we don't need to read further. When we see a therefore, it should start a new sentence, right? So without thinking, just put a period right there. Therefore, it would still be doubtful whether the gifts were given grudgingly or cheerfully for these reasons. What? Okay, now, this is a bit questionable. Is it connected to this? The previous sentence. To this. Let's read again. Therefore, it would still be doubtful whether the gifts were given grudgingly or cheerfully for these reasons. Okay, let's read on, just to give a benefit of the doubt. For these reasons, we put a box in the chapel with a sign explaining, So you can see that this is not in any way connected to this. So what do? We start a new sentence. So this is connected to the succeeding sentences. For these reasons, we put a box in the chapel with a sign explaining that whoever had a desire to give something toward my support could put his offering into the box. Does that look okay to you? That's a long one. That's a long one. So let's. It is okay. First of all, it is okay, but it's just very long. So let me try to unpack it a little bit. For these reasons, we put a box in the chapel. Okay, so this is your main clause. This is your independent clause. Okay, subject, and you've got your verb. So we put a box in the chapel. Now this box is with a sign explaining. So you've got a sign. This box comes with a sign, and this sign explains that whoever had a desire to give something toward my support could put his offering into the box. So this is a complex sentence. This is a complex sentence. So you can see that actually we can just remove this. But of course, George Mueller wanted to describe that box. That it is with a sign, and what sign does it have? It explains that whoever had a desire to give something, blah, blah, blah. So that's it for our paragraph correction exercise. I hope you learned something from it. The reason why I wanted us to do this is because, as I said, many English learners, when they write a paragraph, their sentences just run on forever. It's like it's not gonna stop. And sometimes it gets confusing, as you have seen. When we tried to remove the periods, when we tried to remove the full stops, the periods, the sentences became confusing. So you might want to avoid that by making sure that your sentences are not run-ons. That concludes our sentence structure lesson on run-on sentences. I hope that made things clear for you. But if you're still confused, don't worry. You can rewatch this video and practice by working on the assignment I prepared for you. So in this assignment, I want you to identify the run-on sentences, then fix them using all the possible methods you can use. Okay, so that means you have to try all the possible methods. Okay, that's it for our video lesson. This is lesson 5, so we're halfway through in our sentence structure series. I hope that you have been improving in your sentence structure skills. I'll see you in the next video. God bless you.